Somebody's on the roof.
Maybe it's Santa.
Not now, Charlie.
This Christmas, Scott Calvin's getting into the spirit the only way he can.
Hey, you!
By accident.
If something should happen to me, put on my suit. The reindeer will know what to do.
It is Santa. You killed him.
Did not.
Check out Santa's sleigh.
Look out, Charlie! When you put on the suit, you fell subject to the Santa Claus.
The Santa Claus?
What does that mean? It means you put on the suit, you're the big guy.
Ha!
Santa, how come your clothes are so baggy?
Do you want this doll or not? Go back to sleep. I shave in the morning, in the afternoon. I look like this.
Oh my God.
Calvin, your weight. What happened? Beastie. What, you put on a little weight? Does this look like a little weight to you?
You look distressed.
I'm way past distress. I'm talking to an elf.
He's not Santa.
Oh my God. He is too, Santa. Wait, I'm not done.
Fax me.
This is our perpetrator. This one's not going to be easy to find.
Want the bright red suit and beard to give him away?
Who's down there?
Santa, you're fatter this year.
Have a piece of fruit, for God's sake.
This holiday season,
Incoming!
Tim Allen is giving till it hurts.
Johnny, naughty. Gary, nice. Veronica, very nice.
The Santa Claus.
You're a 1,200-year-old elf? You look pretty good for your age.
Thanks, but I'm seeing someone in wrapping.
Santa Claus is coming to town. This is the greatest actor of 2020. So, I was on my computer. I was wondering what the longest sequel movie is. Like, you know how you have a sequel, that's 2 movies. And then you have a trilogy, that's 3 movies. And then I don't know what a 4 movie is called, but you have the movie that you know, like Toy Story. It has a Toy Story 4, you know. Or like, the longest sequel I've seen is Star Wars, but I haven't actually seen it. I just know there's like 9 movies. But out of all Disney movies, the longest sequel I ever seen was Tinkerbell, right? Well, since it was Christmas, I searched up the longest Christmas sequel ever. I found 5 ever since the 1930s. 1930s is kind of when television was invented. And I wanted to know how many Christmas sequels there were. You know, because there's a lot of Christmas movies around the world. And I found over 500 Christmas movies, but 99% of them are just Christmas movies. There's not really any sequels to them. Most of the sequels come from Disney. And I saw a lot of Christmas movies, okay? But I looked for the ones that had sequels. And guess what? There were a lot of them with second sequels. There was like 50 of the Christmas movies. Like 50, like 1/6 of the Christmas movies. There was like 50 Christmas movies that I found that had a sequel to it. You know what I mean? Now, with the Santa Claus, it's a trilogy. There's 3 movies to the Santa Claus. I looked at all the Christmas movies, and out of all the Christmas movies ever made in the world, the Santa Claus was the only one that got a 3rd movie. Out of all the Christmas movies, tell me your thoughts in the comments below on what your favorite Christmas movie is. What is your favorite thing to do on the holiday? And what Christmas movie gives you the Christmas spirit? Because one of the Christmas movies I like is, well, one, Polar Express. But I like movies with a long trilogy, and since and I usually go with the longest trilogy, and since the Santa Claus is the longest trilogy, that's kind of one of my favorite Christmas movies. But well, there is Home Alone. There are 5 movies that go with Home Alone. But you have if you've seen Home Alone, tell me your thoughts in the comments below. Home Alone 1 is about Kevin, who's home alone, right? He misses his trip to, I don't know, to a family reunion. In Home Alone 2, he's lost in New York. Now, however, Home Alone 3 doesn't have Kevin in it, or Home Alone 4 or 5. They're all reboots. So, fortunately, if you minus the reboots, there's really only 2 Home Alones, and the other ones are just reboots. In the Santa Claus, there's not a reboot. It's the same cast every time. You have 3 Santa Claus movies with the same cast. Home Alone just has 2 Christmas movies with the same cast. So Home Alone doesn't count. So other than Home Alone, Santa Claus is the only movie, and I don't know. I don't think Home Alone is Disney. So Santa Claus is the only Disney movie that is a 3 trilogy sequel. Like, it's the longest Christmas sequel. It's the longest Christmas movie in the world. Like, the longest sequel. If you minus Home Alone. If you count Home Alone, fine, that's 5. But not counting the reboots, yeah. Tinkerbell has like 6 movies, but anyway. That's the Santa Claus. Tim Allen, who plays Buzz in Toy Story, he's going to be in Toy Story 4, and he plays in the Santa Claus movie. Santa Claus came out in 1994, and then 8 years later, Santa Claus 2 came out in 2002. And then 4 years later, Santa Claus 3 came out in 2008. It's like 8, 4, 2. If there was a Santa Claus 4, I'm sure it would come out in 2010. 2, and then a 1, 2011, season 5. I mean, Santa Claus 5. But there isn't. There's only 3. And so, I'm just playing the Santa Claus trailer because I'm trying to bring the Christmas joy to my channel. And, yeah. Enjoy the holidays. On the greatest actor of 2020. Make sure you're Santa. Make sure when you go to bed on Christmas Eve, Santa doesn't fall off the roof, or you don't get presents for Christmas. Otherwise, you're the new Santa Claus. Or, if you don't want to be the new Santa Claus, Christmas will be destroyed forever. Just kidding. It's all about family and friends. Alright, here's your second trailer. Because since I like Santa Claus, we're going to play trailers for all 3 movies. Here's the trailer to the second movie. And since I hate odd numbers, I looked really hard on YouTube and only found 1 trailer to the third movie and 1 trailer to the first movie. But there's 2 trailers to the second movie, and I'm going to play both of them. So just hang on. Here we go.
Walt Disney Pictures presents a motion picture as big as the holidays themselves. Ho, ho, ho! Santa. Walt Disney Pictures presents a motion picture as big as the holidays themselves. Ho, ho, ho! Santa Claus is back.
Look out!
But this year, Santa ran into a little problem.
I've got to get married? You said yesterday, didn't I?
Desanification process has begun.
Yeah!
Are you Santa Claus?
Or would you ask me something like that?
Did you have a reindeer?
A lot of people have reindeers.
Name 5.
Experience all the wonder and magic of an unforgettable Disney event.
We have Coco, we have a blanket, we have a horse-drawn sleigh. The only thing it's snowing. It's like some kind of magic.
I'm Santa Claus.
What?
Uh-oh, we're in trouble.
Tim Allen, the Santa Claus 2. Rated G.
No. That's going to leave a mark.
Coming to Disney DVD and video November 18th. November 18th.
No!
18th.
Okay, guys.
Disney DVD and video November 18th.
Stop!
18th.
Leave a mark.
Coming to Disney DVD and video November.
Okay, guys, that was Santa Claus 2. But before I show you my other trailer to it, it's similar to this trailer, but it's a little different. Yeah. Just for a clarification note, you know when you watch a trilogy, you watch the first movie, the second movie, and the third movie, right? Do you remember watching Back to the Future? At the end of part 3, they said the end. Usually when the writers are writing their final sequel to their movie, it's like when they mention it's the final chapter, or if they mention it's the end at the right before the credits, that means they're not making another one usually, right? Like, have you watched a movie where right when the movie ends before the credits, did they say the end? You know? Guess what? When I watched the Santa Claus, there was no the end. That was great, right? When I watched the Santa Claus 2, it had the words the end wrapped in the present, saying that the series was over. But yet, Walt Disney made a third movie to the Santa Claus movie, you know? I do hate on numbers, so that's disappointing, but I like time travel, right? Jack Frost time travels. Anyway, the Santa Claus 3. At the end, it says the end. Santa Claus 2 and 3 have an ending to the sequel. It's funny. However, in Santa Claus 2, they don't mention it's the final chapter. In Santa Claus 3, they do. So, if you ever watch a trilogy and you see like a the end at the end, that doesn't mean the sequel's over. I know Back to the Future is over. I actually heard a review on the writers. They didn't want to make it Back to the Future Part 4. But assuming if you didn't know Back to the Future and you saw it for the first time, at the end of Part 3 where it says the end, that doesn't mean it's the end. There could be another one. But however, there is actually a trailer of Back to the Future Part 3 where they do mention it's the final roundup and the final chapter. But like there are going to be movies that don't mention that, and you never know if there's going to be a fourth one or not. Like Toy Story's not an example, but I'm just saying, guys. That's the Santa Claus 2. Now here's your second trailer.
Somewhere in the Arctic.
Hold it! I'm getting something on the sonar!
Somewhere in the Arctic
Hold it! I'm getting something on the sonar!
dwells a legend
I'm getting strong readings from the cap rock, sir!
waiting for the day
What is it?
You better watch out. You better not cry.
he'll come to town. He's the greatest Santa the world has ever known.
Love what you guys do, thinking outside the box.
Thanks, Santa. You're the man.
That's why they gave me the big belly.
He's made his list and checked it twice, but he forgot to read
The single most important detail in the history of Christmas.
the fine print.
I've got to get married? Yes, it's Mrs. Claus.
Walt Disney Pictures presents Tim Allen,
I don't think there's a woman out there that doesn't want a piece of this.
the Santa Claus 2.
Hey, the girl who plays Santa Claus's wife, Elizabeth Nilcheld, that girl who's with Tim Allen in the Santa Claus 2, the Mrs. Claus, that girl who plays the Mrs. Claus is the same actor who plays in Once Upon a Time. She plays as the Snow Queen. In there, she's a villain. Here, she's not a villain. She is Mrs. Claus is coming to town, so enjoy your Christmas holiday. So that's very interesting. However, they said this was the end of the sequel, but it was lying. It's not really the end unless they say it's the end. Well, I guess in Once Upon a Time in season 6, they said it was the final chapter, but they did a reboot. If you do a reboot, that's that kind of a sequel. That's the only kind of sequel that doesn't count. But yeah, other than that, if you say it's the final chapter, it's the final chapter. And in season 7, after starting a short reboot of Once Upon a Time, they did say the final chapter for reals without a new reboot. And Once Upon a Time did get canceled. So if you're watching a trilogy and you really like it and you're waiting for the next movie to come out, here's the difference. If it says the end, when you get to the final movie of your favorite show, if it says the end, that means it's either over or it's not, because sometimes that could be right. Or, I mean, like, unless you heard some interviews that they weren't going to do another one, but unless you hear in the trailer that it's the final chapter, it's not over. There could be another movie to it, but since they mentioned it's the final chapter in the final in the third movie trailer, it's the final chapter. So in the next trailer I'm showing you in Santa Claus 3, it's going to mention it's the final chapter to Santa Claus. So that means they're definitely not doing a Santa Claus 4. But if they don't say that in the trailers, that means there's a possible chance it could be. So if you're watching a movie and you don't know if it's getting a sequel, let me give you advice. If it doesn't say it's the final chapter in the trailer, it's probably going to get another movie. Otherwise, it will end. I'm surprised if they'll say that in Toy Story 4, because then there won't be a Toy Story 5. But they haven't said that yet, so there might even be a Toy Story 5. But so just to wrap up this video, here's my Santa Claus 3 video. Put your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe. See you in the next video. Have a good, jolly holiday. And here's your joke about Santa Claus 2. When you go to bed on Christmas Eve, make sure when you wake up the next morning and meet your mistletoe, make sure you give her love, a romantic relationship, and be ready for your kids, and get married. Unless you have a beard, no one's going to want a piece of you. No girl's going to be fitting out for you. Just kidding. But here's your trailer. Just click the bell if you want to get notified when I post. Give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video.
The first clause.
Kill them.
Did that?
Change the face of the holidays.
It's the Santa Claus.
The second clause. Proposed a challenge.
I've got to get married? Yes. It's
The first clause.
Kill them.
Did that?
Change the face of the holidays.
It's the Santa Claus.
The second clause. Proposed a challenge.
I've got to get married? Yes. It's Mrs. Claus. I don't think there's a woman out there who doesn't want a piece of this.
This time, Christmas is getting Jack.
Jack Frost, you are hereby charged with attempting to upstage Santa Claus in a manner that is both willful and malicious.
Excuse me. Did you just accuse me of being skillful and delicious? I'm tired of playing second fiddle. I'm going to be Santa Claus.
Jack, you gotta let this go.
You get TV specials and the postage stamps and the army of toy-building yes-men. What do I get? A few runny noses and some dead citrus.
This holiday season, the most powerful clause of all
The escape clause.
The escape clause.
The escape clause.
will be triggered, sending everyone back in time.
Somebody's on the roof.
Hey, you! That coat belongs to me!
And it will knock one Santa out
You hit me with a shovel!
and let another slip in.
You tricked me.
You're not Santa anymore. You're just a guy who smells like a cookie.
This is so wrong.
On November 3rd,
We'll call Christmas Frostmas.
the future of the holidays will be at stake.
I've done it. What have you done?
And the final chapter will begin in the greatest Santa story ever told.
I'm going to make everything good again.
Walt Disney Pictures presents Tim Allen,
Give me a status report.
Your pants are on fire.
yes they are, Martin Short,
I'm Jack Frost.
Okay, chill.
I invented chill.
Hey, Mom.
Santa Claus 3, The Escape Clause.
Ho, ho, ho!
Okay, guys, that was the final trailer. I was actually going to end this video, but just one quick minor note. What I like about this trailer is that it has time travel interest. I'm interested in any movie that deals with time travel and fairy tales. It doesn't have to be both. But I do like the funny part where Santa Claus's pants are on fire, and he just goes, "Yes, they are," like he doesn't care. And then you have Jack Frost teasing the little girl, and he goes, "Mommy!" It's funny. And then, yeah, time travel, people. You time travel back to the first movie, and you knock the new Santa out, so that you knock the old Santa out, so the new Santa can join in. Jack Frost is a bad guy. Well, and in Santa Claus 2, there is a villain, and it's a plastic Santa Claus. The first one doesn't have a villain, but there's your 3 movies right there on the Greatest Actor of 2020. 2020 wishes you a Merry Christmas. And I am out. Lenny Mills is out. But, what was I going to say? Oh, my joke for the 3rd movie is, you have become Santa Claus. You have become married. And now you're about to get Jack Frost. He's from, like, Jack Frost, but that's a DreamWorks movie. It'd be funny if they put Jack Frost with Frozen, because that mixes up. But you're now with Jack Frost. You are Santa Claus until Jack Frost takes over your job. And Santa Claus is no more. Santa Claus is not real, guys. He will be fake. Anyway. And then as Jack Frost takes over Christmas, he changes it into Frostmas. And instead of bringing presents to your house, he gives you nightmares. And, well, he takes over the North Pole. We better stop him. And it's up to you guys to make sure you go back in time, stop his evil plan, destroy Santa Claus and make a new one. Kill Santa Claus and make a new one. Okay, that's my message to you. There's my 3 Santa Claus movies. I wish we could play them again. It'd be nice making a video of just playing all the trailers without me talking at all. But, well, see you in the next video. Hopefully you enjoyed my Andy Mac video and DuckTales video. Anyway, I already told you, subscribe. And, well, bye-bye. On the greatest actor of the 2020s. Lenny Mills is out. The end. Bye.